Yeah, he used astrology because that's basically what psychology is based on, is archetypes, and that is what astrology is. So
Yeah.
Pluto deals with, well, in mythology, he's the lord of the underworld.
Yeah.
So Pluto rules Scorpio. So if you are familiar with Scorpio
I'm very
energy,
familiar with
yes,
Pluto.
yes, you are.
The underworld.
Um, the underworld. But it deals with things that are taboo, things we don't want to talk about. It's death, transformation, regeneration. It can also be like the plague because it has to do with death, things that affect people globally. But one of the things I always like to talk about is one of the symbols for Scorpio, which, Pluto, is the phoenix
Yes.
rising from the ashes.
Rebirth.
Rebirth, exactly. New and improved, because you know what?
Yeah.
You have gone down to the ashes, you have seen death's door, and it's all about surrender
Yes.
and tapping into that power of surrender.
Yeah.
So because it is the most obsessive of all the planets. And when Pluto goes into Aquarius, it's about bringing in the revolutionary energy.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've been seeing a lot of structures and things that have been in place for a long time getting upended,
Falling apart.
WTF. Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
WTF is like,
Yeah.
nonstop every day.
Right.
And that's very much the nature of Aquarius.
Yeah.
Aquarius, it is the humanitarian, but it's also the revolutionary. So
I'm thinking about Neptune moving into Aries also looks very revolutionary.
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
So big time of huge change.
Yeah, it's going to be with the elements in astrology. We've got earth, we've got air, we've got water, we've got fire. And the planets, all of the major planets, the big, the outer planets, have been more in earth and water, and the switch is going towards air and fire. Ooh is right. So, I'm an Aries. I like fire.
Yeah.
And the thing, fire's tricky. You have to manage it. You have to keep it stoked to keep it going, but you also have to manage it so it doesn't get out of control.
Yeah.
And that can be with the Neptune in Aries, that can be about religious fervor. It can be about people's ideals and really looking at their dreams. I was thinking about with Neptune going into Aries, the thing that came into my mind was what is to become of your suffering?
Like, will it be transformed? Will you revolutionize your approach or your perspective about your suffering?
Exactly, because the Pisces, Saturn has been in Pisces, Neptune has been in Pisces, which is its own sign for quite a while. And so it's been really heavy on that archetype, which has to do with more of the internal, more of the feeling. It can get into the victim martyr.
Yeah.
And
Just going to say, Neptune and Pisces sounds like perfect victim energy.
yes, it is.
Poor me and
Absolutely.
woe is me. Yeah.
Yeah, and pour me another drink, because it can also really up people's psychic abilities. People feel more sensitive. But when people don't know what to do with that, they want to escape.
Right.
And so that's very much Neptune in Pisces, is I want to escape into another reality. And look how AI really came on board with Neptune and Pisces. I just want to go to another reality where everything is pink clouds and bunny rabbits.
Yeah, get me out of here.
Right, exactly. But I always like to talk about the Neptune and Pisces as the highest, to me, aspect, because that's why we use astrology, is we want to look at how can we best manifest and use these energies instead of being victim to them.
Yeah.
Or using them as an excuse.
The higher vibration of each of these archetypes.
Absolutely, the higher vibe.
Exactly.
So,
like how I threw that in there.
yeah. So forgiveness, compassion, kindness with that Neptune and Pisces. That's really what we were given an opportunity. I would say we have an opportunity. It's a learning curve to look at how can we forgive? And of course, at the top of our list should be ourselves.
Yes.
Because then we can facilitate forgiveness to other people. And
start with ourselves. Yeah.
Especially the Saturn having gone through Pisces, is we had to look at a lot of authority figures not really living up to our expectations, our ideals, and we've got a lot of opportunity for forgiveness, right?
Opportunity to forgive all those disappointing.
Yes. And also, we were just talking about blowing all of the perfect pictures. And really, what is forgiveness? It's giving up on expecting perfection.
Right, letting go of things needing to be a certain way, right?
Absolutely. So Neptune moving into Aries, it's the archetype of the mystic. It's very much about the spiritual archetype and what can't be proven. And going into Aries, it brings in, Aries is cardinal. It's about action. Very different from Pisces, which is like, I just want to watch movies and,
check out.
Exactly. But Aries is like, okay, I've had enough. I got to go. I got to move.
Let's do this.
I got to do. And I kept thinking about like the Crusades, Crusaders. And so that's going to be one of the things to watch is people, getting really caught up in that kind of energy. Because Aries is the god of war, but it's very much about your own will, your own desire. So I definitely recommend try to be careful. This is like for everybody about really being too forceful, trying to convince somebody to your own beliefs and your own religion.
Being aware of if you're being too dogmatic or forcing your ideals onto another.
Yeah, being too aggressive, because Aries just doesn't think about it. It's like, this is great. I'm just going to do this, and and you should be doing it too. But as well, to me, like I said, what's to become of your suffering? See, Aries brings in that fire. It's a light, and so I'm hoping that it's going to bring that enthusiasm, that fire for people to actually start looking at the way that they can manifest compassion, they can manifest the connectedness of the one, and to see everyone as connected, and to really let our own suffering and the suffering of other people's be illuminated, but not to stick there, not to get stuck, but to create something better, to burn it away. I was thinking about that purification by fire.
Yes.
And hopefully it's not witches. Terrible. There's my morbid. But really, everything comes around in astrology in cycles. Yeah. So we get another opportunity with the wisdom that we've gained to use these energies in different ways. So this going into Aries, I've talked about how this has happened last time was around the time of the Civil War. And of course, that's looking at human rights and freedom.
For ideals and
Aries is
for ideals.
Yes. And Aries is very much about freedom. Freedom to be. I am. It's saying, its logo is I am.
And I love that. The Aries logo is I am.
I am, There's very much, I hope, that people are really gonna get much more of their connection to spirit, to their higher power, to God, whatever you call it, whatever anybody calls it.
To me, it's like the logo for Neptune in Aries is I am spirit.
Yeah.
I am
absolutely
that oneness within.
Yeah, I am spirit. And not getting so caught up on the body and, how do I look? I mean, talk about perfect pictures on that. What do you weigh? How many, and especially, being in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But then
there's a lot of those appearance pictures.
Yeah, absolutely.
Superficial. So not getting caught up in the superficial, but really in the core of who we are. and living from there, like taking action from there and
being in the moment,
manifesting that inner awareness into how we live our lives.
Absolutely. Aries is very much in the moment. It's very much about the present moment. And I really feel that this shift from all of these planets being in either earth or water signs, it's really going to be moving a lot of the emotion. It's going to be a time for people to let go of grief. Pisces deals with a lot about grief. And this is why so many people have been feeling so emotional, feeling like things are ending, because they are. It's a new beginning, and it's about letting it be new. Letting it, as, our mentor Michael Tomorrow would always say, drop it.
And just drop it.
Yeah. And for the advanced student, drop it, leave it.
Yeah. Don't pick it up again.
Yeah, don't pick it up again. And Pisces can kind of ruminate, and Aries is like, nope, right now. And then that
Aries moves on. It's like, we're done.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not even thinking about it.
What about this?
Yes, absolutely. And then the Pluto in Aquarius is also about, Aquarius energy is very much the ability to distance, the ability to be objective.
Wow.
So this is kind of great because now Neptune will be in Aries and Pluto will be in Aquarius, and that's air and fire. So we can feel like we're actually able to make more change. We're actually able to effect and affect things.
I'm seeing it as you're describing it more in those pictures and energies and frequencies of the different planets and signs that they're moving into. I hadn't heard that before about Aquarius being more like observing and more objective. And it makes sense. If we were stuck in that watery, like feeling so much that we couldn't extract ourselves from that in order to take action, now we've had that opportunity to process and be with the emotions. Right. Now it's like, okay, now it's time to let it go and create. Let's get to it.
Yes, exactly. And then the planet Uranus, I haven't talked about that yet. Uranus actually rules Aquarius. So it is the planet that deals with revolution, epiphany, genius, madness, technology, and so many things. Just like in life, everything has so many layers. And so it's been in the sign of Taurus, which is a lot of why there's been so much shakeup with money, banking institution, the earth, because Taurus is all about what we think is absolutely stable, traditions, the long-standing, doesn't move, and when
old structures.
Yeah, so when Uranus goes into Taurus, it's like taking a snow globe and just and also about the value system. Taurus is also about looking at what we value personally, collectively, and so that has been one of the opportunities for learning for all of us is, of course, when you lose all your money, you go, oh, what's really valuable to me? Right. Yeah. And so it really brings us back to basics. But Uranus is going into Gemini, and that will go in July, but then it's going to retrograde. It's going to retrograde, and then it will go back into Taurus in December, but it will go back into Gemini the end of April 2026. So it's like we get a preview. Yeah. And Neptune also does that. Even though it's gone into the sign of Aries on March 30th, 2025, it will go back into Pisces towards the end of October, and it will go into Pisces for a little bit more. And then the end of January 2026, it will go into Aries for the next 14 years.
Yeah. So one more opportunity for a nice little purge.
Yes, exactly. So we're getting a little heads up about what Neptune in Aries is going to be about, and to just pay attention to what's going on, because we always get the themes of things, coming in. And then also, when Uranus goes into Gemini, it's going to be much happier in Gemini because it's naturally an air sign. So it's going to be in an air sign. You can expect technology advances like crazy.
Yeah, I'm just thinking innovation is the word that came to mind.
Yes.
As soon as you said Uranus and Gemini, I was like, oh, this is a lot of new innovative technology and inventions. This is exciting.
Absolutely, and it is exciting. It's funny because when I speak of Uranus transits to clients, I always say, "Okay, it's like the Wheel of Fortune. You could get anything, you know. Sometimes
Oh,
it's
great.
easy, sometimes, but it's the expect the unexpected." But being in Gemini, Gemini is a sign that deals with communication. It deals with networking, and so we can definitely expect changes in that. I really look at it as a lot more of people's psychic ability, people becoming more aware. You know, with the Pisces, I think people have been feeling much more about their psychic abilities. And I do want to say right now, I know people will say psychic, and, you know, that just means of the soul.
Yes.
If you look at psyche, psychology, you know, why is it psychic is a bad word?
I know.
Right? It just means of the soul.
It means of the soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I like to remind people of that often, so it doesn't have to be tainted with all those kind of old bad connotations.
Yeah, programming. So the Uranus in Gemini, just that hopefully people are going to be able to express themselves more and be more in touch with their intuition.